So I think we should start, right? Cool. Let me just project my screen first. Cool. Hi Varun, how are you? Hi Shubhangini. Hi Mridul. Okay. So yeah. Hope my screen is visible now. Cool. So we started off with our quick revision. Okay, we understood what Dart is, and we understood what are the ways to actually fetch your data from any particular API, how to make HTTP requests. We understood how to store our data into our local DB, right? And then we understood like how to use state management and what's reactive programming, what are streams. And on the sixth day, we understood how we create a basic movie application. And so we were done about that, right? So today is our last day, and today will be, more like an interactive session where I'll be listening to you people, and we'll be discussing some more new things like how to proceed next. Okay, so I'll be going through a quick vocal revision right now. So we'll be understanding from where to start and how to start. All right. Okay. So let me just present my screen. Okay. Cool. All right. So okay, so Flutter is a mobile app framework which allows you to actually create application right now for multiple platforms, desktop, web, and mobile phones, which covers all the operating systems. Okay, cool. So here you can find the documentation. Okay, so documentation is a very precise way to actually go with. Many people ask me like how to proceed, how to start. So the best way to actually start any technology is documentation. All right. So to get started, first you need to select your respective operating system on which you will be developing or creating your application. So it can be a Windows, Mac, Linux, or Chrome OS. All right. So yeah, then you have to set up your editor. Your editor can be anything. It can be a VS Code editor or an Android Studio or any editor based upon IntelliJ IDEA. Okay, and it can be installed on any kind of machine. And you can create your first application. There are multiple ways to do that. We used VS Code to actually create it by accessing our command palette, or we can use our terminal. By using the command Flutter create, we can create the application. Or in the case of Android Studio, also you can create a new Flutter project. Cool. And for writing your code, you have to open it up uh, in your IDE, and in that IDE there is a file called main.dart file, which stays inside a lib folder. So lib folder is technically a directory where we keep all our Dart code. Okay, all the Dart files are kept inside this. Cool. Then we have these devices. You can use your physical device, or you can use an emulator like this. Okay, so you can debug your application anywhere you want. It can, if you're developing a web application using Flutter, then you can debug it in your Chrome browser. And if you're making desktop application, then you have desktop apps for sure. Okay, cool. So if you want to learn more, then there are basically documentation contains the entire Bible to go with. Okay, so in Flutter, everything is widget. Okay, what are widgets? Widgets are technically a class. Okay, so classes, and these are being extended by two different classes which we have in Flutter. One is stateful and second is stateless. Okay, if you want your if you want to keep your things dynamic based upon user inputs, based upon data arrival, based upon any other input which keeps on changing, then you can use stateful widgets. If you want to keep your application to be just an informative application and you want it to be static, then in that case you can go with stateless widgets. All right. So that's how you create your first hello world. Cool. Now, Flutter uses a language called Dart. Dart is a language which Google has been using from 2011 for their internal UI, UI creation part or creating application for the internal organization. So they have been using it. So Dart basically is a very good language when it comes to creating user interfaces for multiple platforms. Dart has a strong engine. We call it Skia engine. It's a C++ based engine which gives you tremendous amount of speed. So the compilation and the transpilation is very easy and very fast. Okay. What's transpilation? Transpilation is the process of converting one language code into another language code. Okay. So let's say if I'm developing in Dart, I'm writing my code in Dart, and the same code is going to run into a web browser. So it's getting transpiled into JavaScript. Similarly for Swift and similarly for Java, right? So Dart has this amazing capability to do these kind of things. All right, cool. Now Flutter has multiple widgets. We have something called a material app. Inside material app, we have a scaffold. Okay, so material app is the basic instance of the application. Inside this, our scaffold resides. So what is a scaffold? A scaffold is like a room you have. Inside that room, you can decorate it in multiple ways. Okay, you can keep a sofa set, you can keep a television, and all these sofa set, television, carpet, chair, table, these all will be the widgets inside what? Inside a scaffold. And what is a scaffold? Scaffold is our room, and material app is our entire house. Okay, cool. So this analogy can be, you can keep it in mind to help you make it understand. Okay, so we have multiple widgets. We have a container. Container is just a small rectangle which has a child. So most of the widgets you are going to deal with in Flutter, they have a child to go with. What is a child? A child is a input point to actually just add another widget. Okay, so inside container, I can create another container. I can create a row. I can create a list view. I can add an image. I can add a text. So an image, text, everything is a widget. Okay, cool. Then we have something called pubsec.yaml file. Pubsec.yaml file actually contains the packages which you are using. So you can find the packages on this website pub.dev. Okay, this contains thousands of packages to work with. We have used several packages already. Like that day we use HTTP. Okay, so there are multiple, and we have also used SQLite. Cool. So this is an entire directory of packages you can use, and so yeah, and whenever you want to add a project, add a plugin or a package inside your application, then you add it into your pubsec.yaml file. So that's technically the file which takes in the inputs and installs you a new package or a new plugin from the directory, which is hosted online somewhere on the server of Pub, Flutter, or Google. Okay, cool. Now you can start with creating widgets. So there are multiple widgets, right? You can create layouts. Now there are multiple ways to create layouts. So whenever you see something, let's say in this case, this call icon and this text, they are wrapped inside what? They're wrapped inside a column. Okay, so that's how you can create your own layouts by merging multiple widgets. Okay, and this is a widget UI tree which gets built up. So let's say I create a container. Inside a container, I have a row, and inside row I have three children. Okay, those are respective columns. Okay, so inside that column I have icon, I have container. Inside the container I have a text. So that's what technically is going right here. I have a container. I have a container. Inside that I have a row. Row means horizontal layout. Okay. Inside that I have three columns. Columns are vertical layouts. One, two, three. Three layouts. Three columns. Inside that I have icon, container, text. So icon, container, and text. Icon, container, text. Icon, container, text. They are inside what? They are inside. Each of them is inside a column, and all these three columns stay inside a row, and row is inside a container. So I hope it's very easy to understand like how we can create layouts by using multiple widgets. Okay, cool. Now we have this tutorial where you can create something like this. It gives you a post kind of structure or a location kind of structure. So you can add an image. This is an image widget. This is a text widget, icon widget, text widget, icon, text, all added into a column. Okay, Cool. So you create and add your things inside the lib folder. This is just a breakage. Like this is total. We are trying to and see it in a much better way. So this documentation contains all of this thing. Okay. So if you want to implement a row, then you can implement a row. Likewise. Now there's a thing like you want to adapt your application based upon the screen sizes you are using. Okay. So in that case, you can absolutely use something called media query. So media query is a very smart and intelligent way to handle things. Okay, so let's say you have an application which is displaying your app, displaying your name. Okay, so just imagine someone tries to open that Android application into an Android TV. So how is your text going to behave in that case? So that kind of functionality can be handled using something called media query. Okay, cool. And we have different widgets for this as well, like aspect ratio, custom single child layout, fitted box, media query data, orientation. Okay, so that's how we go. And Flutter has a very good and rich amount of videos available onto their YouTube channel. So you can just go over there and type Flutter, and you'll be redirected to a YouTube channel. Okay, onto the YouTube channel, there are multiple videos available. So you can just get started. They are very funny. The people who create videos, they are funny. They have a good sense of humor. So it's very easy to actually understand them. Okay. And there's one thing called the Flutter Boring Show. Okay. Okay. So this is the entire playlist. It keeps on getting updated every once in a while whenever they release a new episode. So it contains all the, all the episodes. And each of the episodes try to tackle one new problem, or they solve it, or they create something in a live version. Okay. So there are 54 something videos, and you can just try and wrap them up. Okay. Also, Flutter has something called widget showcase, widget of the week. Okay. So they also have this playlist. Inside this playlist, they explain what every widget does. So you can just, let's say, if I talk about Safe Area. So Safe Area is a widget which allows you to actually save your data from the curvatures of the screens in mobile phones. So these days, all the mobile phone screens are curved on their corners, right? So let's say in this case, and most of the mobile phones have a notch up there on the top. So what if you enter some information into your app bar and it gets just wiped away because of this notch? Okay. So to handle this kind of issue, we have a widget called Safe Area. Safe Area accesses the hardware properties of the device you're using and identifies the exact physical lengths of the notch. Okay. So based upon that, it shifts your content to respective places. Okay. So that's how your content or your information never gets tampered due to the device size or device curvature. Okay. So if you wrap this entire thing inside a safe area, then you'll be able to do things the way you want them to be done. Okay. So yeah, so this is how you can explore the widgets if you don't want to read the documentation or you just want to look at them visually. So visual representation is very better in case of these videos. So you can try this out. So this is widget of the week. This is a chapter. Okay, cool. Now we have different box constraints. Box constraints are just something like you have a child and you want to keep another child below that. And if you're adding a padding margin, so these kind of constraints are available here, and you can find everything inside these limitations. Cool. Okay. Okay. And if you want to know about navigation, like how to move from one page to another, then we have navigators available. Navigator pop, navigator push replacement likewise. Okay, we have things for deep linking. We have URL strategies, how to handle your URLs. Okay, we have animations. Flutter has a lot of animations available in our case, right? So you can know how to understand how to create your own custom node animations available. Okay, so like people have created multiple animations in Flutter. Okay, so there was this article by Morayo.com. Okay, so these are all the animations people have built in Flutter. So these are attention seekers, and these are just menu item. You can see how this is getting updated. This animation, all these are available in form of packages as well, and you can create your own by looking at their code. Okay, you can view their code on GitHub. And this is a staggered Flutter animation. Okay, this is animated app bar. You can see here moon times and earth view. This is an application bar, and it has this animation going on in the background. So that's animated bar. This is liquid spy Flutter, and spring button. So there are multiple ways to go with, and you can try these animations or create your own. And if you want to create them, then you can refer to this documentation right here. Okay, animation is a very vast concept, and if you are good with mathematics and physics, so it will be a piece of cake for you. So yeah, and they are not that hard to learn. They are very easy to go with, right? Cool. Okay, where was I? Yeah, inside animation. So the different animation, implicit, hero, staggered. And if you want to go into some advanced UI, then you have sliver app bars. So sliver app bars, you might have seen into like WhatsApp when you see a profile picture of a person, and when you scroll up, it takes up the colors from that particular profile and merges it into WhatsApp theme. So yeah, those are sliver app bars. Then we understood what state management and Dart is, what are stateful widgets, and how to manage their states. So this is a widget tree, and as soon as you add things to it, it keeps on changing, right? So yeah, so this is a way Flutter deals with things. It's called declarative UI, and it's so UI, whatever you want to change in your layout, it's a function of state. Okay, so F for your builds or methods. So whatever the state is, you can update your UI based upon that state. Okay, it's directly proportional to your state's performance and the current value of that state, right? Cool, and you can manage your states. Yesterday we discussed something like this. You can then we have multiple options. Provider, set state, inherited widget. We yesterday discussed what inherited widgets are. Cool. We have block, RX start, Redux, fish Redux. There are just different ways to go by in state management. You can choose whatever you want to choose. There's GetX, there is RiverPod. So these are just state management solutions for Flutter. You can just go through the documentation, and whatever you find fruitful, whatever you find easy to understand, you can go with that. Then if you want to make any network calls, like yesterday, like 2 days ago, we discussed how to make HTTP requests, how to JSON to create model class, how to do JSON to Dart. And if you don't want to do that, you can use JSON serialization, like in other applications you have used. Okay. And when it comes to accessibility, so Flutter has something called internationalization. So what is internationalization? We have this thing called I18N and I11Y. So let's say you have created an application and you want this application to work in West Bengal and also in Delhi. Okay. So now for this, you need to have two different languages, right? You need to have English and you need to have Bengali for that, right? So instead of doing and creating different if else statement checks for everything to be shown in Bengal or not, so for that, you can actually use I18N, that is internationalization. What it will do is it will just take a parameter. Let's say in this case, we are taking a parameter of state or country, okay, or a particular place. So based upon that, you can just submerge your data to be shown in Bengali for people in Bengal, and in English for the people of Delhi. Okay, and they also have a functionality to choose English or to switch to Delhi, both the cases. But you can default them using this internationalization package. Okay, cool. Now you have platform integrations like in case of iOS. So these are just custom things. If you want to customize anything, you have multiple packages. You can access them via pub, right? Cool. And if you want to add Flutter to an existing application, let's say you have an Android application available and you want to add a screen or do vice versa. So for that also Flutter has some support. So it may be not stable, but it's pretty good to go with when you are dealing with 1 to 2 screens. So all those Android developers, they can just try and intermix the two. Okay, cool. So we have multiple tools. We have dev tools. We discussed what dev tools are. Dev tools allow us to actually monitor a particular widget to get the memory usage of particular application. Okay, and We have hot reload, Flutter fix, code formatting, web rendering, and yeah, these are all the ways. Android X migration, Xcode support. Okay, so these are very deep concepts, and not deep technically, but these are the things you have to actually learn about. Okay, so we have multiple debugging tools. When you want to optimize your performance, then you also have different things for that. Cool. You want to deploy your application, you want to obfuscate your code. So we understood what obfuscation is. Obfuscation just it splits the name of your class so that it's no longer uh, reasonable or no longer understandable for the person who is trying to hack your application or trying to reverse engineer it. Okay, so it won't make any sense for that person. So that's how the data or an application stays safe. Cool. And you want to create flavors of application. Flavors technically are the versions of the same application for different use cases. Okay, so you can use flavors. Let's say you have created an application. Now you need a admin application for the same application. You can create flavors of that. Okay, or you can say you have an application, a shopping application for selling shoes, and you want to create another application for selling clothes, and you can create flavors of that application, right? And if you want to release your application, then we understood releasing, how to release how to release application by using Flutter release or creating our builds and uploading them on Play Console or Apple App Store. Okay, and here's how you release an iOS app, how to release a Linux application. Okay, there's a tool called Snap. So Snap actually allows you to, there are multiple ways, LXD and multipass. Cool. And if you want to release a web application, then you can use and minify that web application. Minification actually means to submerge your code into something smaller and only send the reasonable things onto your server side. Okay. So minification can also be done during build times, so that your application is not that hefty or that heavy when you're going to deal with it or creating the build for that. Okay. Cool. We have multiple resources for Dart. We have multiple resources available. Okay. And inside Flutter architectural, Google Fonts. So Google Fonts actually gives us fonts offered by Google entirely. Either you can go to Google Fonts website or you can use this package. Okay, it's been offered by Material.io, which offers us the icons for Flutter. Okay, so there are ways to do that, and we understood deployment, we understood resources, and there are various online courses, platform adaptations. Everything is available right here. And reference, so who is Dash? So Dash is the mascot. So every organization, or let's say every team or every company, has a particular mascot. Okay, so in our case, in case of Dart, we have a mascot as Dash. Okay, so you can create your own Dash avatars. Cool. Similarly, we have all the entire widget index. So here you can find all the widgets: absorb painter, alert dialog, align. So all the widgets are available right here into this widget index. You can just simply Control F and find. Let's say I want to find list view. So I can simply find list view here by referring to this widget index. Okay. And this is the API reference to all the Flutter regarding things, right? And for the Dart regarding things, you can go to Dart docs. Okay, this is the documentation for Dart. This contains everything about Dart, and this is the API documentation for Flutter. So API documentation for Flutter and API documentation for Dart. Okay. So inside Dart, you have all the samples, you have code labs, you have all the language cheat sheet, how to go with this. Okay. You have numbers, null safety, evolution, you have tour of the entire language, you have all the core libraries, packages, development, how to create packages. Cool. So these are all the things. And we learned how to create our first application, and we learned how to write code into our VS Code. And we also learned how to take in use of plugins. Okay. So we understood how to fetch data from the internet. We understood everything, like how to actually how to release our application. So now there are multiple tools to actually use as a backend. Okay. You have multiple things, like you have Firebase. Okay, Firebase provides good amount of support to Flutter application. So before you go to Firebase, it's always better to go to this website called Flutter Fire. Okay, Flutter Fire gives you the entire walkthrough, like how to create your application without any errors, how to intermix your Firebase with your Flutter, and how to make them work hand in hand in a very precise way. Okay, so it gives you status of all the plugins which Flutter has on the pub directory, and you can use them based upon your use case. Okay, so you can just simply go here and get started. Inside this, it will show you the entire walkthrough, how to proceed and how to get. So let's say I want to use authentication. So inside authentication, it will give me the overview and allow me to actually add the plugin and do the required things. Okay. So if you want to do social auth using Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, then you can add it in this way. So entire code snippets are available. You can simply copy paste and add your own services JSON file. So when you try to attach it with Firebase, you have Google services JSON file, right? Similarly, if you want to integrate your AWS with Flutter, then there's a tool called AWS Amplifier. Okay, so AWS Amplifier allows you to do the same things Firebase allows you to do. It offers more or less the same functionalities. Okay, so let's say I want to get started. So I will simply just go to my get started for free. Okay, now I want to create an app backend, or I want to connect my application, then I have multiple ways available. Okay, so I will simply type AWS Flutter and I will be redirected to this link. Okay, so you can see now AWS Amplify supports application development for React, Vue.js, Apple, Swift UI, Java, okay, and Flutter as well. So I can simply go over here to Flutter. So it asks me to install a few things. So I'll just simply start the tutorial. I have to install AWS Amplifier CLI, okay, and I have to create my Flutter application using Flutter Create. Cool. These are the basic steps to create application. Then I have to add these three plugins as a starter, because this application will actually allow me to create analytics application, basic application. Okay. So these are the required plugins. I have to add it in my PubSec YAML file. Cool. Then I will integrate it inside my application. So this is the basic boilerplate code I will copy, and then I will start running. So before you do that, there's one thing which needs to be configured, which is amplify configuration.art. So this file will get self-generated using your amplify configure command. So before you want to do this, you have to make sure that your AWS has been successfully configured inside your machine, and AWS Amplify as well. So you can simply go over there to git bash and type AWS version. So if it's installed successfully, it will let you know. And based upon this CLI, there's AWS Amplify. So Amplify gives you the same functionalities like Firebase. So setting up these all up is very, very easy. But you have to be a little bit more careful when it comes to Firebase, because Firebase keeps on updating its plugins again and again. And you have to actually find which plugin will be compatible with which kind of plugin, right? So you have to just make sure that you refer to Flutter Fire for exact compatibility issues to be solved. Okay. So Firebase. So when you come to Firebase, you have to create your project. Let's name my project M&M. I accept. Let's continue. Let's continue. I want my location to be India. IJKLM. Cool. I accept. And I'll create my project. So my project will get created instantly. In case of XML, and we have drag and drop option to produce the component while designing the page. It is possible in future. Google will add drag and drop feature to design the page. It really saves a lot of time. Yeah, Varun, absolutely it does. I switch from Java to XML as I design the page. The page I have, write all the code for the designing the page, and it is taking so much time. Google will add. Yeah, the thing is, drag and drop is a very good thing. Cool. It's very time saving, and that's why we have these plugins called Adobe XD to Flutter. Okay, so this technically is a Adobe XD. First, you need to actually import this package inside your PubSec or YAML, and then you need to go to your Adobe XD. Okay, and from here, let's say I have this, and I can go into here. Okay, I can go to plugins. So you can see I have this plugin already installed. It's called XT2 Flutter. So you can just go over here and install plugins for yourself. Okay. You can browse more. You can search for the plugin. So I search for Flutter and I get the results. Like I can export my icons. I can generate code. So there are multiple plugins, but this is like the most famous one and the best one. So you can try this out. Similarly, we have things available for or UI editors for like Zeppelin. Okay, Zeppelin, Flutter. So yeah, sorry, here's another extension. Cool. You can add this to Zeppelin and it will generate code for you. Cool. Similarly, there's one more thing called Supernova Studio. Supernova Studio also gives you this functionality to generate code from what you create by dragging and dropping your things. Okay, cool. Right, so whatever you create right here on the left side, it will generate code for that particular thing. Cool. You can see this is the Flutter code right here. I have a container. Inside container, I have a file. I have child. I have grid view builder. So I create this here and it will instantly generate the code right here. Okay. Cool. Now, where were we? I'm just going to close this. So yeah, so you can go, now we are done creating our Firebase project. Okay. So I would like to explain to you what Firebase is and a few functionalities which can be used for making your application more streamlined. Okay. So you want to authenticate your application, right? You want to add OTP-based logins or email-based logins. So you need to go inside authentication, and you have multiple ways to authenticate yourself. Okay. So yeah, here are the things like you can go with Google Play Games. Game Center is used in case of Apple when you are logging into Apple devices. So Game Center is used. Facebook, Twitter, Yahoo, GitHub, Microsoft, Apple have anonymous login. Okay. And so here you can deal with the authentication part. We have then Firestore database. So it is a simple JSON based database. Okay. You can create it. You can, okay, this is Firestore, right? So Firestore actually is a document based database which contains, you know, which is able to handle a large amount of load for yourself. So whenever you're going to create a database, you need to choose something which is nearest to you, right? So I will select Asia South, which is where I am currently. Okay, so this will just provision the resources for me. So I'll be able to create my collections and my documents. So there's something called collection, and inside that lives documents. Okay, so you have a big file. Inside that file, you will be keeping documents. So the name of that file is collection, and you will be stuffing your pages inside that. So they are called documents. Okay, so size of one document is like 1 MB. Okay, and inside 1 MB, you can share, you can keep a lot of resources, a lot of text. Okay, and there's a particular naming convention to everything. So you have to make sure you need to, you never create any collection with slash or dot likewise, right? So all these conventions can be seen into a documentation. Again, you create your collection. Inside your collection, you add documents, and likewise you can use your database or your cloud firestore, right? So it has rules defined like who can read, who can write. So if you want only authenticated users to be uh, allowed into your data to be accessed, then you can add it here. Cool. So if I simply remove it, then this application will become public and anyone can read and write into my database. Okay. So likewise, you can change your rules and you have different indexes. So indexes allow actually you to, to query. Cool. And usage, like what usage I'm having, what are the metrics I'm gathering, what are the resource, I'm consuming. So every data is available here. Real-time database is a simple JSON-based database. Okay. You create nodes. Inside nodes, you can add multiple data. Again, you create let's say, it has security rules. I'll start in test mode. Okay. Okay, log mode. So the different modes are there for test mode and log mode. One exposes you, one won't expose you. Okay. So you simply just go over here. Inside this, I want to create, let's say, I add a value. Okay. I want to add one more. Cool. I add something else. I add some value. So likewise, you can create whatever you want to create. Okay. So this works exactly the way streams work. So what you'll be seeing changed here, you will instantly change the changes happening into your application. Okay. So and when you're using Firestore, so Firestore you'll be calling up a document, and when you call a document size has to be maximum has to be 1 MB, and you can try nesting up to 100 levels. There is no issue with that, but you have to make sure that when you're referencing your documents or collection, then you allow the path to be entered correctly, right? Cool. Then we have something called storage. Inside this, you can store things like we have storage buckets, Amazon S3, right? AWS S3. Similarly, we have storage here in Firebase as well. Okay. Then we have hosting. If you want to host something, let's say you want to host your terms and condition, privacy policy, or the website for the application, then you can host it using hosting. Cool. Then you have cloud functions. So cloud function are one of the most important concepts of Google Cloud and Firebase, or when you go to, in case of Amazon, AWS, you have Lambda functions. Okay. So what these functions actually do is they follow something called a serverless infrastructure. Okay. Serverless infrastructure is something you need not to, actually manage something. You need not to manage basically a server. So you can connect multiple services into your application. Let's say I have created a Flutter application and I want to use API called Twilio. Okay. Twilio. So Twilio actually gives me API to send and receive messages or do a lot of things for customer research and customer, helping the customers. Okay. So it helps me a lot with customer engagement. So I want to integrate this API. So what I will do is I will technically taking use of these cloud functions. I will connect these cloud function from my application side code. Okay. And that's how I'll be sending respective messages to my users. Okay. I want to send, let's say there's a new offer and I want this message to be sent using our customer engagement service called Twitio. Then I have to integrate it right here. Okay. So it's asking me to upgrade my project. Actually, when you're going to write cloud function, you have to add some billing to it. And for adding a billing, you just have to add your account. Okay. You won't be charged anything for that. Cool. Then you can use machine learning. Machine learning actually uses TensorFlow Lite here. TensorFlow Lite, or you can go to advanced movement if you want to go and use, then you can go to Google Cloud for using and writing the entire Python notebook kind of code, right? So machine learning allows you to technically use machine learning inside your application using Firebase. Okay. So you can create an application which just takes a picture of something, and then you can send that actual picture to this particular model which is staying inside here. Okay. That model will deduce something for you, like it's a picture of a dog, it's a picture of a cat, and will send the data instantly back to you. Okay. So this is the use of machine learning in case of Firebase, right? Then we have something to, these all tools were used for building, okay, build applications. And here are something which are used for releasing and monitoring. So you can check in Crashlytics, like where your application actually crashed. You can check the performance of your application, how it's performing onto different countries and different regions. Okay. Test Lab will actually allow you to test your application onto multiple devices available. Let's say you create an Android application and you want this application to be tested on thousands of other websites with different screen size and different companies. Okay, so test lab will actually allow you to do that. So you just upload your APK here, and it will be sent into this. Okay, and you'll be able to gather reports like on which devices actually failed or the orientation was out of scope. So everything will be done using this test lab. Okay, app distribution allows you to distribute your application for testing to different users, to internal user of your organization, and likewise. Okay, this was release and monitor. Then we have analytics. Analytics again gives us more detailed analysis of our application. Okay, we can get and measure how our applications, how our users are engaging, which page of your application receives most traffic, right? And you can get the real-time updates. You can trigger any event you want to trigger. You can convert. Okay, you can see how many applications, how like from what you received maximum conversions. Conversions means, let's say you send an application. Okay, you send a link to download an application. Now you share that link on Twitter. You share the same link on Facebook. Now you want to know like which received more downloads, from Facebook or from Twitter. So it's called conversion, like how many people got converted and downloaded our application. So these are called conversions, right? And conversion has other multiple things available inside it as well. Cool. And we have custom definitions, funnel, latest release. You can see the debug view. Inside debug view, you can actually add your debug files, like things you want to be stored. Then we have things for engagement, predictions, A/B testing, cloud messaging, in-app messaging, remote config, dynamic links, AdMob. Okay, AdMob for ads, dynamic linking for actually linking particular page of your application and then redirecting it to different users. Okay, so let's say I share a post from Instagram on WhatsApp to someone. Now that dynamic link will contain the link to that post, right? But it will then notice that I do not have Instagram installed in my phone. Okay, so first I will take my user to the Play Store, then I will download the application, and then I will redirect that person to the particular post. So this is called dynamic linking. Okay, cool. Now we have AdMob for ads, remote config for actually checking out. You save your important files, important parameters into remote config, which you want to be stored onto your server side as configurations. Okay, so let's say I want my application to function in Canada and in Punjab. So I will show different types of data to those two places. To like the same application will show different data to the people residing at different places. Okay, so for that part, I can use remote config, so it can customize and change the behavior it's behaving on different location, different platforms, different devices, different location, different IPs. Okay, or different days, or Sundays, Mondays you want to run ads, and on the weekdays you don't want to run ads. So you can just write this entire behavior of application inside this. In-app messaging allows you to actually create, like the name suggests. Okay, you can manage in-app messages, you can create your campaigns. Cloud messaging allows you to send notifications. Okay, A/B testing allows you to test your application if you want to update the UI of your application. So what you will do is you will share that UI with 50% of the people and keep the old UI with other 50% of the people, and you will see how the 50% of the people are liking the UI. And if they are liking it, then you can proceed with merging the or refactoring your UI for the application. Okay, so you can do A/B testing like this. Predictions will actually predict like what are the changes you need to do so that you can receive more traffic on your application. Okay, so this will just predict according to the ways it can predict. Okay, then we have multiple extensions available. Now let's say you want to create an application, but you don't know how to write cloud functions. Okay, so you can just go into these extensions. There are multiple extensions available. Okay, you can resize your images using this. Let's say you are uploading an image of 1 MB, but you want that image to be compressed and you want image to be converted into a thumbnail. Okay, so this particular plugin will allow you to do that. You can export your collections to BigQuery. So there are multiple ways. You can trigger an email as soon as a user gets registered on your application. Okay, you can delete your user data. So there are multiple ways to do that, right? So these are plugins. Okay, now Firebase has plans. It has a Spark plan, which is a free plan. Okay, and we have a Blaze plan as well. So you will be able to extend it to Google Cloud. Okay, so this was Firebase. Similarly, there are multiple things available in case of AWS Amplifier as well. Cool. Cool. So this was Firebase and how to go by this, right? Now we come back to Flutter. So I hope now you see like how easy it is to create applications with Flutter, right? We understood what Dart is, and yeah, there are multiple plugins available. You can try them out, like this bottom navigation bar. Okay, so keep on exploring plugins. So just try to import a plugin and read the code inside it, right? How they're using it, what are the actual code procedures, what they have adapted, or how they're using their abstract classes to be imported, how they're using streams there. Okay, when you read into the code, you'll be able to understand between the lines, and you'll be able to know how it's working under the hood. So you can just replicate that and use it for your own as well. Okay. So many people might be worried, like if plugin keeps on updating, then how to tackle this issue? Okay, so you know that plugin keeps on updating, but let's say you build an application and one particular plugin solves the entire problem for you, and you don't want it to be updated in future. Okay, so what you will do is you can actually create a particular folder inside your directory. Okay, and you can store your plugin inside this, the entire code content of the plugin. Okay, and instead of referencing it into pubsec.yaml file, now you will import them as a particular file. Okay, so that's what you can do if you want to avoid the updations of plugins to create glitches in your application. Okay. Yeah, so Flutter has a good ecosystem. We have multiple communities available. Okay, Flutter Discord. Okay, so if you want to go, you can simply go over to GitHub and you can raise an issue, which is the best possible way, I would say. And you'll be able to get solutions ASAP. Okay, and you have Google Groups as well. Here also you'll be able to get solutions. Okay, and you have Stack Overflow, you have Gitter, you have Meetup for all the events regarding Flutter. All the developers share their events here. You have Flutter Dev to actually monitor what's going on inside the world of Flutter. You have Medium. Okay, Medium is very good. You should actually go and learn from Medium. Like Medium has very good articles, very good and concise manner, and people try to sometimes obfuscate or deconstruct the widgets so that you are able to understand them much more in much more detail. Okay, so you can just go to medium.com/flutter and you'll be able to explore a lot. Okay, so there are multiple articles like Nikita and Deven Joshi. So these are all the people who write really good articles. Okay, so you can just try them out. Okay, you have a Slack channel as well. You have YouTube. You have Reddit as well. Okay, then you have Discord server, Hash node. So there are multiple ways to contribute. There are multiple ways to interact. You are the only limit to explore your ways. Okay, so you have to open up your gates. And the community of Flutter China is very strong. Like you might be able to find many plugins created by Chinese people. They are very straight up when it comes to adopting some new technology. Even if you come from an Android background, you might have seen a lot of plugins has been created from Chinese people. Okay, from the people from China. So yeah, you can say we can learn from them. People are really awesome, and India is also adapting Flutter in a very good way. So yeah, now how many of you are satisfied with the usage of Flutter for your future application? How many of you would press yourself to create applications using Flutter? If someone can tell me, if someone can ask me the issues, oh, that's great, Pavni. So yeah, so that's what I wanted you to discuss. So now, uh, that's great, Gobi. That's great, Lailesh. So the support is very strong, and you will, if you get stuck somewhere, then you can absolutely copy that error message and Google it up. You'll be able to find the required solution. Okay. Okay. So I will just project my screen. Yeah. Yeah, Shubhangini, I understand. Okay, so that's the last of it. That's where we have to depart onto our ways. Okay, so I hope you people enjoyed having me for like 14 days into your life for like 1 to 2 hours every day. So I am really thankful for you people to actually be there for me. Okay, and about one more thing I'd like to discuss is there's one simple project you can create. Okay, like we created a TV series application, right? So I want you all people to actually restructure that particular application into the way you can, the best possible way you can. Okay, you can use multiple streams. You can use ways to handle those streams if you want, and even if you don't want to use them, it's totally up to you. But make sure that it's a good one. Okay, you should be able to fetch the API, and if you want to experiment more, then you can actually just add authentication kind of thing. Like last time, Varun added an authentication. Okay, so Varun, if you have any issues, Varun, then you can absolutely go to Flutter Fire. It gives you the entire way to avoid errors when it arises to integrate Firebase and Flutter. Okay, so you just have to create this simple small application, and you can also add a functionality to stream your videos. But make sure the videos you're streaming, they are not fluctuating with any copyright issues, because if you're really going to stream a movie on it, then it will be a copyright infringement. So avoid that kind of thing, and you can use any stock video to play instead. Okay, you can find free stock videos online. Just add the URL and you will be able to stream the same video on that button tab. Okay, so yeah, you can go to whatever heights you want to actually go. Okay, I just want you people to experiment. I just want you people to try new things out, and you have the code, right? And you just experiment with that code, change things, try to add your things. And the API key which I gave you all for DMDB, I will expire it. I want you all to create your own account on TMDB, okay, and try it out. Okay, so there's one more thing you can try. uh, there's a Hacker News API available, right? I will show you here. Okay, so this is a very famous API. You can just go to this link on GitHub, and it will give you the entire data set, entire objects, entire API to access its database, or not database technically, the post. Okay, so Hacker News is a very good community, and there's a daily practice which I adopt. I wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is I open Hacker News, because Hacker News, this website Hacker News, it is not much user friendly, but you'll be able to find a lot of interesting articles, a lot of interesting things about different things going on in the field of computer science or in general in the world, right? So it's a very good place. It has no ads. Okay, it's just a directory. It's just a it's a website which indexes good articles. Okay, so it's a good practice that you wake up every day, you just go over to Hacker News or open your Medium app. Okay, so yeah, and whenever something literally helps you, try to tip that person, try to help him in a monetary way. Okay, in a appreciative way. Okay, you can share him or her on Twitter for the contribution they are doing for the community, because that's what they want, right? So if you go over to Flutter's GitHub repo, you can see we have 5K plus issues, right? 44,643 issues has been closed, and there are 8,762 issues still open. So you can see these 44,643 issues, some of the issues become features, because let's say if one person is facing one kind of issue with a particular plugin or particular thing about Flutter, So it will just come here and simply raise a new issue. Okay. So I'm not logged in right now. So if you are logged in, then you'll be able to raise a new issue, and you can type in this issue. And if your issue is worthwhile, it will become a new feature. Okay. But not necessarily it can be a feature. It can be an improvement to an existing code. It can be a better way to handle the existing code. It can be anything, right? And if you have a pull request into the Flutter repository, interestingly, it's a very, very good thing. You can see we have 849 contributors all around the world. And if your pull request gets accepted, or let's say if you have your contribution gets registered, then you will just become one of these contributors. And it's a very, very big thing to actually become one, right? And even if your pull request is getting accepted, then it's a very, very, very good thing. Okay. Cool. So you can see these all things are very much now. If Google wanted, Google could have kept it entirely closed source. Okay, Google knows that it has the best developers in the world, but still those developers are not that vast. Okay, because they have limited time and limited scope of understanding and a limited place to look at. Okay, but if you open source something, then you have it opened up for the entire population on the planet, right? Now now people will look at the same thing from very different angles and very different ways, which sometimes get ignored by even the most awesome or the best developers or creators in the world. Okay, so this is the best way people do. They create a small project and they open source it. So once you open source it, people would like to work and come with it, like come on it and work with it, right? So that's why it's a very great practice to open sources, and it's very, very functional and very, very useful for Google to open source these kind of things, because Google cannot manage it alone. So all these people who manage this, there are 169 issues open. Now issues has particular labels. You can see there are multiple labels. So let's say if someone is having issues with the desktop area of the Flutter, then you can just simply go over to this tag or this label, and you can find all the issues about desktop. Okay, then it has more subjected labels. So that's how you understand it. Okay, so there are multiple project accessibility, Android Q, edge to edge, different ways and different labels, different projects, different branches. You go to Flutter's main directory, you can see it has many, many branches. Okay, all these branches, some are active, some are stale. Stale means nobody is working on that, or they have hit the ground bottom. Like, so yeah, you can just go with that. Okay, there has been 27,206 pull requests. Okay, which have been accepted, and these all are open. So yeah, you can contribute in open source. Flutter is a very big community, and never be afraid to be called as a stupid person. Okay, those who stay stupid are the ones who ask the questions most, and keep on asking the questions. Questions are very, very important. Okay, because sometimes you think that if I'll ask this question, then I may make fool of myself. But technically, the same question has been teaching a lot of people. So it's better to take one for the team. Okay, always keep on asking questions, because curiosity is what saving this planet is from. Okay, curiosity is saving us. So you guys are now, I think, comfortable with creating this application. So you have the TMDB API. You can just log it in, get your API key, add it to your application, and then let it roll. Okay. So any more questions, any more experiences someone wants to share about the event? They are free to ask. They are free to say. They're free to talk. Anyone? So this will be the wrap of our session. And how do we wrap text in a container? You can just simply, what are you asking actually, Varun? Because you can actually make a child, and inside the child you can add a text widget, right? So it will be wrapped inside a container. right? You create a container and you create a child, and that child will be served into a text widget. I hope I solved your query, Varun. Okay. So these are all the dashes we have. Okay. So do we have any more questions? Mostly you said state. When I want to update any container color on click or something like that, is it okay? There is another way to do it. Yeah, product set state is fine if you want to update these small changes when it comes to UI part. But make sure you do not write things. Or see, when you're using a stateful widget, then there comes concept of states. Okay, so let's say now stateful widget has a property that whatever you write inside, let's say you create a function which is updating a something, right? So if you use stateful widgets and stateless widgets, okay, they are different. So stateless widgets are sometimes more useful than using stateless widgets. Okay, so let's say you have a function, and that particular function is actually converting your lowercase string to uppercase string. Okay, and you are writing that inside a set state, or you're writing that inside your stateful widget code block. Okay, so what will happen? This stateful widgets code will get dynamically updated because there's a widget tree constructed. Okay, Pranav. So this widget tree will keep on updating. So there is no point of writing technically these functions or these methods inside the stateful. Okay, because every time you won't see the changes happening, but every time that widget tree is getting updated now, that conversion is happening again and again. So it's better to use these kind of cliche methods into your set state, because then they'll be called only once. Okay, and they'll be constructed for once, and you don't want it to you want them to be used again and again. So your system threads will be away from the processing part. Okay, so for that part, you have to just make sure like how to handle stateful, stateless, and what kind of methods you are technically using. Most of the apps require permissions like camera, message, contacts. How is handled while development? Okay, so there is something called permissions. Okay, so when you are creating an application, you will be requiring a lot of permissions. So there are plugins available. Let's say you have an HTTP plugin. Okay, so HTTP plugin, as soon as you install that plugin, it's going to update your, in case of Android, it's going to update your manifest file. Okay, it's going to write in there like permission internet required. Okay, so there are plugins who notify your manifest files that yes, I want this to be updated, and they add a particular line into your manifest file and they update it. But there are cases when you want one particular permission. Let's say you are using contact picker. Okay, uh, it's open. See, Lalish, let's say if you're using something called contact picker. Okay, so this plugin actually allows you to do the same. It allows you to pick the contacts from your phone. Okay, so if you go into example, so it's a very simple and fair example. So, but when you are going to use this in a production level application, you want your user to ask about the permissions. Okay, so this technically has a permission written into your application, but you need to actually take yes from the user, that yes, the user is providing me with the information. So there are multiple packages available. There's a package called permission. Okay, so permission allows you to actually take the permission from the user, so you can use this. Okay, permission handler is also there. Actually, this is the exact plugin. Okay, so permission are granted for apps to install time. So developers have to ask the user for permission while using the app running. So this plugin provides a cross-platform API support for permission to check the status. In case of Android, you have these files, right? You have these Gradle files, right? So all the required things are available here, Lailesh. It will allow you to actually get the exact Boolean, whether the permission is given or not, and you can change this subjectively. Okay, so it has a very good popularity. It has 1155 likes and 120 points, 99% popular. So that's how you can handle your permissions, Lailesh. Okay. Okay. Actually, I'm designing a container. I place a text widget on that container, and container height is fixed, and its size is not changing with the text grow. Okay. So for that, Varun, you can do one thing is you can wrap that text into a widget called wrap. Okay, and make sure you don't give the height to container this time. Okay. Now what will happen now that a wrap widget? I'll just show you. Okay. So yeah, let's say you have these five containers, five small squares, and a sixth one comes. So what will happen is it will just come right below this. So this is the function of wrap. Similarly, if you do it in the case of text, okay. So in case of text also, it will just take the entire dimension of the text. You can use rows for it. You can use text for it as well. Okay, so that's the usage of wrap widget. So you can try this, Varun, and let me know. Okay. So any more questions? Any more sharing about any more reviews? Any more criticism is totally welcomed. I hope I proved to be a valuable input into your lives for the last 7 days. So yeah,